Welcome faculty and staff to the EagleNet training for the My Progress feature. In today's agenda, we will be covering what the My Progress feature is, how our students will navigate to the My Progress feature, and how they will potentially use it in terms of their academic planning portion of the EagleNet portal. This will also give you an insight in how you will use the feature in order to advise your students when they come to see you. So without further ado, let me go ahead and log in as our student, and we'll see what our students see first, and then we'll go in and see what the advisor view looks like. When students first log in, they'll be presented with a couple of tiles here. In today's lesson, we're going to be focusing only on this registration and planning tile. So let's go ahead and click registration and planning. This feature here is this number one is the feature that we're talking about in today's lesson. It's called View Your Progress, or go to My Progress. So we call it just for short the My Progress feature. Let's go ahead and enter on the My Progress portion of the portal. And once our information is pulled up, you will notice a couple of things here right off the bat. We'll see that our degree, or the title of our degree, is listed at the top. And we have a lot of at-a-glance information. So it's just a lot of summary information right at our fingertips. So let's go through some of those real quick. So we have our cumulative GPA, which is listed. Now, this current student does not have any earned credits yet. So that's why you're seeing a 2.0 required. That's what's required for the degree in order to stay within the program as well as to graduate. Now, because the student hasn't earned any credits, no GPA is listed, and the same goes for the institutional GPA. So, and most of the time, these two are going to match anyway. Continuing, we see the degree, as well as the major, the departments, and the catalog in which our student is currently assigned to. So, if our student came in a previous catalog, we may potentially see 2016, 2015, and so forth. Here in the middle, we have program notes. And if we click on show program notes, the only notes that will currently show up is the advisor information for the student. We do have the ability to customize this area. So if you are a program head and you would like to add some additional notes to this area, please reach out to your deans, who can then reach out to the registrar's office and figure out what needs to go into these areas or what you would like to add. And if it's absolutely necessary, we will go ahead and do that. In the meantime, we've just kind of kept it basic with having our students' advisor information listed. As we scroll down, you may also see some bars here on the right-hand side. As our students continue through the program and earn credits, this bar will begin to fill up. A dark green color for earned credits, a light green color for credits that are currently in progress, and a yellow color for any of the courses or credits that are currently planned. So My Progress essentially is degree audit on steroids. It is a much more user-friendly interface for understanding the degree audit information, and it allows our students to not just see what is required for the program, but it allows our advisors to do the same thing. And so the idea is that our students would use this feature in order to plan their degree to completion and not take any courses that they potentially do not need or will not count towards the completion of their degree. So let's scroll down here. Let's get familiar really quickly with how our requirements show up. So as an example, we've got the first year experience course, FYE. And so FYE is listed here as its own requirement. And we know that our students are in the undergrad program are required to take FYE 101 and 103, both courses. And we can tell that by seeing here in this red lettering, it says 0 of 2 courses completed, and that we can see that there are 2 courses listed here as well. This particular requirement only has one area, which is the first year experience. And as these items end up being completed, they actually collapse such as that. And so when the students have completed this area, this will turn into 1 of 1 completed. The coloring will change to a green color, and it just allows for an easier reading of these areas. So as these areas collapse, our students will then, and you will then be able to focus on the areas that are not collapsed. So as we scroll down, we see the undergrad biology curriculum. It has a couple of areas: Area A, Area B, and Area C. And each one of these areas has what we call a print text. And essentially what the print text does is it tells our students, and it tells you, a list of the courses that will count in this requirement area. Now, I left a couple of things in here, such as the group ID. And the group ID is sort of one of those things that is standard. When we created this requirement, it populated our print text automatically with this number. Now, we've cleaned up our production area to not include most of these. However, we are human. And so if you do end up seeing any of these group IDs, will you please let the registrar's department know, so that way we can go in and take these out. Now, some of the key information we'll need is the degree. We need the catalog year. We need the requirement, as well as the area. So let's cover some of the features within the My Progress portion or degree audit. And one of my favorite features on the My Progress or degree audit area is the ability to go in and not just click on individual courses, but the ability to search for courses in mass that may complete an area or satisfy the requirement of an area. And so I'm going to scroll down here to this number 2 just to give an example. So I'm going to click English 110. All right. Now that our course is loaded up, we can see a general description that is listed for the course, as well as any requisites that might be listed for the course, the location in which the course is offered, and the offering cycle for the course. Now, this particular course is listed as all terms, which means that we offer this class in every single term that we have here on campus. So that's winter, spring, summer, and fall. Now, I did leave another example of something you might see within the production site of student planning. So if you happen to see any of these descriptions that do not match, so for instance, we say the prerequisite English 101 is within the description. Again, that is another example of items that you need to let the registrar know, so that way we can go in and fix it. Additionally, if our requisites are not populated in the correct area, such as here, as of right now they say null, which it may say null if the course has no prerequisites, but in this case, we know that English 101 is a prerequisite for English 110 per our description. So our registrar would then need to know that information so we can go and correct the requisite that is listed within colleague. Just because the course section is not available does not mean that our students cannot plan for the course. For now, let's go back to the My Progress area. If we scroll back down to the communication and management area of this curriculum, remember I said that we have an option of searching for courses in mass that will fulfill a requirement. So as you come to these requirement areas, you have the ability to come here to this search button and simply click here. Now what that's going to do is it's going to automatically search for any of the courses that meet that requirement or satisfy that requirement. And it pulled that information straight from the course catalog within Colleague. And so you'll notice FLM 101 falls into the category of an item that will satisfy this requirement. So it is listed, as well as Humanities 101, and so forth. And so what it then allows us to do is to plan for available sections by clicking on View Available Sections if we are offering it in the current term. Our students can then add that section to their schedule and register if it is time to register. Otherwise, they can still add the course to the plan and either plan it for the current term or any future term. Additionally, We've got some filters here on the left-hand side. So if you are in the planning stages, feel free to turn on these filters to figure out if those sections are available. If not, I still want to encourage you again to add the course to plan and hit the approval button. We'll talk about what that means in the future. For now, let's go back to the My Progress portion. There's one last feature that I want to talk about here. For all dual enrolled students, they may potentially see one of two programs, in which case they will have the ability to scroll back and forth between the two programs and see the requirements for those programs. Additionally, if your students are considering doing a major change, they have the ability to do that just like they had within WebAdvisor. So if they come to this View a New Program section and they click, they'll be able to select from any of the available degrees we offer here on campus and potentially see how their courses will transfer if they change their major. So for instance, let's go ahead and click this Bachelor of Business Administration. Let's hit View Program. And essentially it pulls up the requirements for that degree program, and it will let the student know based on courses that they've already taken how their courses may potentially transfer over and count in that program or may not count in that program. And that's how our students will see or utilize the My Progress feature of the EagleNet portal. Now let's take a view at what our advisors will see. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. And I'm going to sign in with my credentials. Now that we've signed in, let's go ahead and go to the advising tile. And essentially, the advising tile is how you as the advisor are going to look up students and view the plan per student. So I'm going to go ahead and call up the student that we were just working with, UG18. I'm going to click on his name in order to open up his profile. And then I'm going to go here to this Progress tab in the middle. It is the exact same view that our students have. So let's talk about planning. For now, in order to plan courses, you will need to utilize the Progress portion of the Advising tab in order to plan courses in conjunction with the course catalog to plan. Also, the Course Plan tab here as well. In the future, we will have access to curriculum tracks and this Load Sample Course Plan area. As an example, I've gone ahead and preloaded a curriculum track for the Doctor of Chiropractic degree as well as the Bachelor of Science degree. Let's go ahead and hit Load Sample Course Plan. And we're going to load up this student's Fall 2017 Doctor of Chiropractic plan. Let's hit Preview. Now you will notice that we've basically completed a couple of courses here, Anatomy 1502, Anatomy 1503. So the student has obviously already either been at another institution or has previously been at our institution and earned some academic credits. But the curriculum track, essentially what it is the fastest road to completion for a degree with respect to any prerequisites. So we've gone ahead and put those in the system. We've loaded it for Fall 2017, and so essentially it's telling us exactly the courses that we need to take in order to complete our degree at the fastest pace. And while the system is very smart, because it's going to remove any courses that the student has already taken. I'm going to use this as an example. So keep an eye out for Anatomy 1502 in the fall 2017 term. The system is still pretty rigid, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's hit load. And let's go to the timeline. And so what I mean by the system is very smart. It's pulling out any credits that the student has already earned, so that way the student is not taking a course that they do not need again. However, what it did not do is it did not adjust the plan to take any courses that were supposed to be taken in a future quarter, for instance, like this ANLS 1610, and it did not move it into fall 2017. So it is not adjusting for those little differences. It's not going to automatically make that adjustment. And that's what I mean by the system is very smart and dynamic, but it's also very rigid. So for this particular student, it may take a conversation with that student to see if they want to try and take some of these later courses in an earlier term. And it may take some manual touching to remove courses from later terms and add them into the fall 2017 term. This will need to be done at a student by student basis. There are many factors that may go into whether a student wants to do that or not. Perhaps they've been out of school for a couple of months and they want to get settled in. Maybe it's a new institution. And so those might just be some of the rebuttals you might receive to doing something like that. But if we scroll forward, you will notice that the student's entire program has been already pre-planned for them. And so this curriculum track feature becomes really useful for our first-time freshmen and any students who are just beginning our program. However, it may not be so useful for any students who are currently within 3 years or of attending here and already earned those credits. Because as I mentioned, while the system will pull out any duplicate courses, it may not adjust and move courses into earlier quarters. So let's talk about this course planning tab. The course planning tab is really critical in terms of data. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So we have the ability as an advisor to go in here and approve courses or deny courses, protect courses, or unprotect courses. And I'll show you what those features do. So I'm going to go in here, and for the winter 2018 term, I'm going to select all of them, and I'm going to approve these courses. Now that I've approved the courses, we get this nice green thumbs up icon. So this approval button becomes really important in terms of data. If you leave it blank, the operations department will not be able to run reports around how many students are anticipating to take any of these courses within this term. And then we can't relay that information to your deans, who can then plan how many number of sections and the appropriate class space or class seatings, and how many professors they need to hire. So again, I want to really, really emphasize, please, as you are planning these courses for your students in future terms, please go in and approve these courses for the student. By doing so, you're helping the institution plan better, and you're helping yourselves as well if you teach any of these courses or any course here on campus. Additionally, you have the ability to deny courses. So let's say the student has gotten off track and they've added a course that doesn't fit the plan, or they're trying to take a course early that you don't really think that the student is ready for. You have the ability to go in and deny these courses as well. Now, just because you deny a course does not necessarily mean that the student cannot still register for it. It just serves as a documentation piece for yourself that you didn't approve the course, that you didn't think that the student was ready to take it. Now, there are some features that we have discussed, and our current leaders may decide to tie this approval or deny button to the ability to register. As of right now, they simply exist as a tool for you as an advisor and documentation purposes to just say that I approved this course or I did not approve this course. Let's go ahead and change it back to approved. Let's talk about this protect and unprotect button. Let's go ahead and select all of our courses and let's hit protect. So what this button does is it allows you as the advisor to lock down certain courses from being dropped from the student's plan. So if the student is in performance contract, for instance, and there are courses that you absolutely want them to take in a specific time frame or a specific term, then this is how you would make sure that they don't remove that course from their plan. So you protect the course, and now the student cannot drop it. However, the student can still add courses to this plan and register for that course outside of this protection. But again, just like the approval button, it serves as a documentation that you as the advisor were trying to plan something specific for the student's academic track. Let's go ahead and unprotect these courses again. And this is what an unprotected course looks like. Now let's talk about the communication side of EagleNet. And to talk about the communication side, I'm going to need to back up to our advisees page. So just so you get a good feel of what the advisees page is. So we're going to the advising tile. And this is our advisees tab here. So let's talk about this yellow icon. This yellow icon, what it's basically saying is that the student has made an adjustment to the plan and they are asking for review. So this is one of the ways that our students can communicate with you, the advisor. Let's go ahead and open the student's profile. And you'll see that the student has already registered for the fall 2017 term. But they've also planned some courses for winter 2018. So we, as the advisor, will have the ability to either approve or deny certain things, as I already mentioned. So we see this yellow icon here saying that the student is missing a class or a prerequisite to the general chemistry course. So for this particular plan, we're going to go ahead and hit that deny button. So now that we have reviewed the plan, let's go up here and check the notes just in case. Because our students have the ability to write a note to us, as well as us having the ability to write a note. And while the note feature is very useful, you do not receive a notification when a student has typed in a new note or when you have typed a new note. The item that triggers those communication pieces is this review complete button and or request review, as the student would see. So now that we've checked that there are no notes, we can come up here and we can say, I have reviewed your plan and approved appropriate courses. We'll hit Save Note. And now let's go over here to the Review Complete button. Now you will receive this notification saying that the review has been complete, and it will ask you if you want to archive this plan. Always, always, always archive. I'm going to click this button. I'm going to show you what archiving does. Let's go over here to this Plan Archive tab. And essentially what archiving does is that any of the adjustments that you have made, any of the interaction, any of the notes you've done, any of the approving, any of the denying or locking of courses that you've done gets stored in a archived PDF. So if the student were to change major, for instance, and essentially have their advisor change subsequently because of their program change, The advisor who gets assigned to that student afterwards will then be able to go in here and look at what was planned for the student previously and what was discussed with the student previously as well. So let's open up this archived plan, and we'll get to see where the summer 2017 courses were planned, which ones were registered, and then look at our winter 2018, which was our sample, which course was denied. Additionally, look at the bottom here. We also have our notes. So any of the notes that you created for the student will show here. So something critical to remember is that these notes are viewable by not just you, the advisor, and other advisors, but by the student. So you never want to type anything in the notes section that may potentially be offensive to the student, or that you may not want the student to know that you are actually documenting. For any of those items that you still want to document but not show to the student, I still highly recommend using STRK within the colleague UI. Let's close out this archive. The last item I want you to notice is if we go back to our advisees list, after we've clicked the Review Complete button, notice that the yellow icon next to our student's name has disappeared, and the student is no longer defaulting to the top of our advisees list, indicating we have clicked the Review Complete button. That concludes the end of this presentation. Thank you for joining us. Again, as always, the kettle is available if you have any additional questions, or feel free to revisit any of the videos that we have loaded to Blackboard regarding EagleNet training.